don't go his way, you know Trump's just going to redraw everything with a Sharpie himself. The votes haven't even been counted. They haven't even finished voting yet. Already Trump is calling our election unconstitutional and a giant scam, which are also adjectives some might use to... You know, Marco Rubio, a Republican senator at the time, introduced a bill that would eliminate daylight saving 3 years ago. It's called the Sunshine Protection Act. It was passed by unanimous consent. You know how hard it is for the Senate to get unanimous consent?
In a political showdown that nobody saw coming, late-night TV just turned into the hottest battlefield of the week. Jimmy Kimmel didn't just clap back. He torched Donald Trump and Marco Rubio on national television, and the internet is losing its mind. From razor-sharp jokes to brutal takedowns that cut deeper than any campaign ad, Kimmel held absolutely nothing back. So what really sparked this Hollywood, Washington feud, and why are clips of this moment spreading like wildfire across social media?
I don't talk about people being fat. I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I don't mention it.
I don't know if that's sarcasm or short-term memory loss. Either way, he really captures the spirit of things. And then we have this guy who's reported to be Trump's choice for Secretary of State.
Nothing has frustrated me more than false choices like the one the president laid out tonight. The choice isn't just the...
Jimmy just launched straight into roast mode like a man who woke up, saw peace, and decided it needed to be destroyed for content. Trump was immediately reinvented as a walking monument of dramatic confidence held together with pure ego and imaginary statistics. Rubio got dragged in too, redesigned as the human trophy of polite failure wrapped in a suit one size too hopeful.
This morning, he threatened to delay SNAP benefits to the 42 million Americans who need them until the shutdown is over. And then his press secretary had to go out there and walk that back because he legally can't do it. It really is amazing. The president says one thing, the White House says another, entirely different. It's like the one hand doesn't know what the other tiny, bruised, makeup-covered, greasy, genitalia-grabbing, Sharpie-stained baby hand.
Meanwhile, Trump received the first transformation, a life-size bobblehead powered entirely by self-importance and motivational quotes stolen from himself. Jimmy upgraded him into the global symbol of someone who walks into every situation assuming he already won, even if no one else was competing.
And then the president pardoned the birds as only he can.
It looks like a rather violent bird. It's hard to play. Anyway, are you ready? Beautiful. That's nice. You are hereby unconditionally pardoned.
There you go. All right. In 6 months, when they're indicted for...
Just when everyone thought they'd seen it all, Rubio's turn came next, reimagined as the grand champion of trying his absolute best, while destiny keeps switching the game rules mid-play. 2 personalities, 1 comedy blender. Every comparison ramped up beyond logic, turning Trump into a motivational speaker trapped inside a tornado of his own hype, and Rubio into an inspirational calendar page that forgot to print the inspiration.
Elon Musk was at the center of an acrimonious cabinet meeting last week. He reportedly got into it with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He lashed out at Rubio, claiming Rubio hadn't fired anyone in his department yet. Marco lashed back, saying, hey, I forced 1,500 people in my department to...
Confidence battled confusion without either contestant noticing the fight. If sarcasm were electricity, Jimmy could have powered a continent. The jokes expanded into philosophical chaos. Trump became the philosopher king of all things he doesn't understand but explains with full certainty. Rubio morphed into the man who brings color-coded preparation to a battle where preparation is worth nothing. Trump evolved into a walking self-promo billboard, proudly advertising achievements that may or may not exist in this reality. Jimmy painted him as the CEO of victory regardless of outcome, eternally inches away from success, yet somehow magnetically attracted to second place. Jimmy made him the official mascot of situations where the plan almost works, but still crashes into furniture anyway. He became the political equivalent of a phone stuck on 99% forever.
And also, hey, you just think about how cruel a person has to be to cut off food to 42 million people. It's the kind of thing that makes you go, oh, no wonder his kids are like that. The guy who never missed a Happy Meal in his life is deciding who gets to eat in this country. So after a federal court ordered them to do it, the Trump administration agreed to pay half the benefits, which is not an...
Here's where it got worse. Trump took another comedic mutation, this time as an unstoppable hype machine with a permanent internal soundtrack of heroic music that only he can hear. Every sarcastic hit made him sound like a man who hires a cheering crowd to follow him around emotionally. He turned into the human version of a motivational commercial advertising something that doesn't have a product. Rubio got promoted to the role of the guy who shows up to win and still manages to lose to someone not playing the game. Jimmy redesigned his personality into a flyer for a motivational seminar that got canceled halfway through. He became the spokesperson for optimism dangerously exceeding reality. Trump morphed into a comic book character whose superpower is pure self-belief so strong it overrides physics. Jimmy highlighted his extraordinary ability to interpret absolutely anything as proof he's winning, even when the scoreboard is upside down and on fire. He became unstoppable not by strategy, but by brute force ego.
Never met them. Uncle Scam also treated the gathered crowd to a fairy tale about how low the price of food is now since he took office.
Walmart announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal is 25% lower. The price of Thanksgiving turkey is down 33% from its Biden-era highs. Potatoes are down 13%, and gasoline will soon be hovering around $2 a gallon.
Yeah. Just like your weight is hovering around 175.
Rubio was drafted into a dramatic saga of hopeful chaos. He became the patron saint of trying to stand tall while tripping over invisible obstacles. If self-confidence had a baby with self-doubt, Jimmy made Rubio the godparent. Every sentence turned his vibe into major goals with minor execution abilities. Trump hit peak exaggeration when Jimmy declared him the only man who could lose a discussion and still take a victory lap as if the universe agreed. He became the personification of declaring success by decree, convincing himself that reality would eventually fall in line. Logic waved the white flag. Trump and Rubio became the ultimate duo of cinematic chaos in Jimmy's monologue, one powered by overwhelming confidence, the other by eternal confusion. Trump stood as the gold medalist of enthusiasm, Rubio as the silver medalist of effort, and neither walked away with a trophy. The contrast became so exaggerated that it turned into a myth.
This into the celebrity of president. I mean, that Marco's Meatloaf, Elon's an even weirder Gary Busey, and they're fighting. Trump eventually came to Rubio's defense, but the fallout from the brouhaha was so bad, Trump had to do some spin on Truth Social. He posted, Elon and Marco have a great relationship. Any statement other than that is fake news, with 3 triple exclamation points to make it extra.
The takedown continued without reflection or closure. Trump remained the immortal symbol of confidence skyrocketing without fuel, and Rubio remained the immortal symbol of hope outrunning competence. Jimmy didn't soften the ending because softness died an hour ago. The comedic destruction wasn't just complete, it was historic. The comedic destruction rolled on without slowing, and Jimmy shifted into another gear like he had discovered a hidden reserve of pettiness no scientist has ever measured. Trump became a monument to unstoppable enthusiasm, the kind of personality that would congratulate himself for breathing as if oxygen were a rare talent. Rubio evolved into the blueprint for trying extremely hard while still producing outcomes that make everyone politely avoid eye contact. The roast stayed brutal and poetic at the same time. Trump got redesigned into a motivational hurricane wrapped in expensive confidence, the kind of guy who sees a disaster, points at it, and somehow declares victory through sheer vocal volume.
In a way, the fact that he thinks he's thin enough to make fun of fat people makes it easier to understand why we think gas costs $2 a gallon, which it does not. In fact, if you're on the road and you see a sign that says gas $2 a gallon over the break, do me a favor and post that with the hashtag Gasolini, because, I mean, he says it's $2 a gallon.
Every figurative breakdown of his persona made him seem like a man who graduated from the school of all-caps ambition with a major in self-certainty and a minor in dramatic pauses. Reality never stood a chance in this imaginary universe. Rubio got upgraded into the comedic symbol of second place as a lifestyle, a man destined to almost win even when he's the only contestant. His entire existence turned into a series titled, "I Can Fix This," that always ends with the sound of something falling apart off-screen. Jimmy kept sculpting that energy until Rubio became the patron saint of hopeful panic wrapped in business attire. Trump mutated into the comedy version of a luxury smartphone that promises everything, glitches constantly, and still sells out because the brand believes it's perfect. He became the living souvenir of and enthusiasm nobody requested. His comedic persona turned into the motivational CD you find in a parking lot that encourages success while forgetting to specify what success actually means. He became the voice of trying hard and still losing to a coin toss. Jimmy stacked metaphors like they were trophies. Trump represented pure ambition, the human bulldozer that crushes logic with emotion because emotion is louder. Rubio represented earnestness, the human participation certificate framed like a diploma and hung in a hallway of regrets. The script kept building like a skyscraper made of sarcasm and glittering exaggeration. Trump entered a phase where his personality became an Olympic event in self-celebration. Every imaginary scenario portrayed him throwing parades for achievements that never happened, claiming medals that never existed, and striking victorious poses nobody requested. He became the patron deity of declaring success out of thin air, powered by relentless optimism and total disregard for evidence. Rubio evolved into the comedic mascot of people who rehearse speeches in the mirror and still forget the first line when it's good enough. Trump's arc reached mythological height. He turned into the crowned ruler of self-praise, the conqueror of conclusions he invented himself, the emperor of imaginary awards ceremonies. He didn't just live in his own world. He paid rent to no one, collected trophies from himself, and then held press conferences in his head about how well it all went. At this point, Rubio's arc reached tragicomic beauty. He became the hero of every motivational blog written by someone who almost succeeded and decided that counts. His fictional backstory became a collection of ambitious plans resting inside desk drawers labeled "One Day." If optimism had a little brother nobody believed in, Rubio became his official guardian. Jimmy merged the roast into a cinematic rivalry that felt like a documentary narrated by sarcasm itself. Trump took the role of the unstoppable force of ego, thrashing forward at the speed of pure conviction. Rubio played the immovable object made of insecurity dressed as confidence, hoping the universe would throw him a bone. The unstoppable force never noticed the immovable object because self-awareness evaporated hours ago. Trump got reshaped into a comedic titan wearing a crown of self-assigned achievements, looking down upon non-believers of his greatness with theatrical disappointment. Jimmy kept escalating, turning Trump into the prototype of a motivational audiobook that doesn't exist but somehow sells out anyway. Rubio became the audible sigh of someone who expected an A on a test and somehow got a C- for showing up. Their fictional legacies sharpened into folklore.
Yeah, we all thought that was the end of Sippy Longstocking, but it was not. He's going to be Secretary of State, which is surprising when you consider some of the terrible things Trump has been on the record saying about Marco Rubio.
I will address, little Rubio.
Little Marco. Little Marco. You know Marco. Little Marco.
He's a little, L-I-D-D-L-E, little.
He couldn't get elected dog catcher.
I call him lightweight. I call him lightweight Marco.
He's a very nasty guy.
He's a nervous basket case.
Total lightweight. And little mouth on him. Bing, bing, bing. Bing, 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 bing. He has really large ears, the biggest ears I've ever seen.
And he was sweating so badly. I have never seen anything like it. It looked like he just jumped into a...
Trump ended as the undefeatable champion of believing he's right simply because he said he's right, rewriting reality with the force of his own enthusiasm. Rubio ended as the noble knight of unfulfilled potential, managing to transform simple tasks into personal quests through sheer emotional difficulty. Two fates sealed not by logic or policy, but by the pure gravitational pull of comedy. Jimmy didn't need a grand finale because the comedy snowball had already reached terminal velocity. Trump remained the eternal mascot of confidence louder than competence. Rubio remained the eternal mascot of effort-chasing success through a maze with no exits. The roast didn't fade. It lingered, etched into eternity by exaggeration and joyfully reckless sarcasm. In the end, the roast didn't settle anything except the universal truth that comedy can do to egos what gravity does to everything left on a balcony in a windstorm. Trump stood frozen in legend as the eternal champion of self-designed success, powered by an ego strong enough to fuel a spacecraft without ever reaching orbit. Rubio sealed his role as the patron guardian of hopeful ambition that works extremely hard, yet lands exactly where destiny decides, no matter how loudly confidence screams inside his head. Their fictional legacies unstoppable by logic, the other defeated by timing. Jimmy didn't need a curtain call or victory lap because the final punchline had already tattooed itself onto history. Trump walked away as the unbreakable symbol of self-celebration, and Rubio as the undefeated master of almost. The roast didn't crown a winner. It crowned entertainment itself, louder, funnier, and permanently unforgettable.